Welcome back to the Murdy Creative Co podcast. I'm your host, Colin Murdy, and today's topic is entrepreneurship and ADHD. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone who supported the company so far. If you haven't got a chance, go check us out on the web at murdycreative.co. That's M-U-R-D-Y creative.co. Or you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram by searching at murdycreative.co to see the best of our product shots. Follow us, keep up to date with our daily photos, and be the first one to know about new product launches. You can also use the subscribe button at the bottom of our website to be included in all of our new product announcements. Be sure to check out our laser engraving, personalization options, and exclusive colors on the website, or get a blank one on Amazon Prime. All right, so the other day, I was watching a TikTok video, and I was just scrolling through, and I came across this one video, and it made me laugh so hard out loud that I sent it to one of my coworkers, and who I often talk about ADHD with. And she thought this was really good. For those of you who don't know, I do have ADHD. I have been diagnosed, and I do take medication for it. So it is something that has been a part of my life, I think, for a very long time, and it was relatively recently diagnosed. But this particular video kind of sums it up in an interesting way, and it sparked a really good conversation. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll include it on here in 1 second. And if you're just listening, I'll try to describe it to you. So it's a woman who is just sitting there and thinking about that one time you asked your husband with ADHD to make a floating shelf. And then the camera spins around and pans through this beautiful, beautiful workshop that's just full of all these tools. And it says, and now this is what your basement looks like. And I still don't have my floating shelf. And the caption says, ask for a floating shelf, get a furniture business. And I just laughed so hard when I saw that, because I know exactly what she's talking about, which is, there are times when you, as someone who, I think that there's a lot of evidence behind this, but someone with ADHD, you feel just compelled to do something, but you want to do it right. You want to do everything about it. You want to dive down the rabbit hole that is the thing. And if you can do it, turning it into a business is a fantastic thing. And I think that's 100% what happened to me. I love journals. I've always loved journals. I love making things. I've always loved making things. And it was something that I thought was a good hobby, and it was a good hobby. And I took it a little too far, and now it's a very successful business and has employees and supports my wife and my perfect lifestyle and everything I could want, right? So it turned out for the better, but it got me thinking, and there was this great debate I was having with my coworker in the chat. We were talking about how many businesses in the world were started because of someone with ADHD just taking off. And I realized that there are certain aspects of ADHD that lend themselves well to starting a business, right? There's this compulsiveness to ADHD. There's this just, I have to do things. I have to do it. And, hyperfocus can be a symptom of it, right? I can't do anything but this. And there are aspects of, when I look back in time, there are aspects of our company's history where those absolutely were vital to our success. Was me just drilling down into something so hard that it worked. But I ended up going online, and I was doing some more, I dived down the rabbit hole to see what there is. And I found some great, interesting sources, and I just read a lot. But I'll include these sources below. But this one comes from ADHD at Work, which is the Attention Deficit Disorder Association, and they were talking about entrepreneurship. And I'll just read you a little bit of the article. According to Bloomberg, a financial software, data analytic, and media company, 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs who start a business fail within the first 18 months. The Small Business Economics Entrepreneurship Journal reported in a study of 10,104 students enrolled in higher education with a higher level of ADHD-like behavior are more likely to have entrepreneurial intentions due in part to their inclination towards taking risks. And while an ADHDer may have ambition and creativity to spare, ironically, those traits may still not guarantee that you will be a successful entrepreneur. Success often requires developing better self-regulation skill, or perhaps a team effort approach to compensate for an individual's areas of executive weakness. And there's a whole bunch of other pieces to this puzzle, but I laughed because I'm like, the company didn't really take off, not in a meaningful way. It was until I brought on Leah and then Meryl and all of the rest of the team, right? Like, we had achieved a certain level of success under me, just doing my thing, but it didn't really expand further than that until I brought on a team. And the main reason why is I didn't do a very good job keeping track of the details and, keeping all of those things organized and straight. And bringing on the team totally changed things, right? I actually ironically had to narrow my own focus and I had to be better about it. But more importantly, I could also delegate things that were my weaknesses to the team. And they did a fantastic job picking up in the areas where I have weakness. As I was playing out this research, something else came up. And I thought to myself, oh, I should include this in this episode because it absolutely, I think, matters. And you'll see why. This is an article in sciencealert.com, and these obviously link to other articles. So, feel free if you're reading this and you're going, well, that's not a great source. Well, it links to the article's actual raw data here, but I'm just going to read this because it's easier to read. There's a really weird link between cats and entrepreneurs. A protozoan parasite found in cats could be having a rather odd effect on the brains of humans it infects, which is, under the right circumstances, might just turn them into the next Elon Musk. Now, I'm going to butcher this, but bear with me. Toxoplasma gondii is famous for messing with the minds of mice, robbing them of the ability to reevaluate or to evaluate risk. There's some circumstantial evidence hinting that similar effects on our own mind, which, although tenuous, is well worth a closer look. Research led by the University of Colorado has combed databases of information examining the coincidence of T. gondii infections and entrepreneurial activity across the globe. They also turned to students and business professionals for a simple spit test to track their history of Toxoplasmosis gondii. And it goes on to talk a little more about this. Of the 1,500 students that were tested for positive exposure, they were 1.4 more times likely to be a business major. They were also 1.7 times more likely to have an emphasis on management and entrepreneurship. Of the 197 business professionals that they evaluated that were positive for T. gondii, they were 1.8 more times likely to have started their own business. So there's interesting things in this that I really, really thought were simple. So let's go back in time, look at the timetable, because I don't know how this all plays into effect. I'd like to believe that where I'm at now is the result of just hard work and the manifestation of my own hopes and dreams as a child just coming to fruition through hard work and through the grace of God and all of these other good things. But as I was doing this research, there's this little intrusive thought that was like, maybe this is all just the result of an infection. And here's why I say that. My wife, I have never had pets in my life. I mean, we had fish, but that doesn't count. But my wife has always had pets. She loves pets. And in 2017, we got our 2 cats that we have now. And we had our cats for a couple of months. And I started my business in February of 2018. Now, I was in charge of scooping out litter boxes at the time, and there was a lot of pieces to the puzzle that you could argue that I haven't been tested for Toxoplasmosis gondii, but maybe I have that, right? Maybe getting infected with that was what helped take an otherwise predisposed entrepreneurial mind via ADHD and took it right over the edge so that I was willing to take that risk. And it made me wonder, right? Because I think this is really an interesting question, which is, are there elements of nature, and of course, elements that of God created nature, that are designed specifically to generate entrepreneurship amongst a certain percentage of the population? Because obviously we need that, right? We need people who go out and take risks and start businesses and do things that everyone thinks are stupid or reckless. And frankly, to be honest, all of the data shows that they will fail regardless of their best efforts in some ways, right? There's so much evidence to support that it's a bad idea to start a small business. And by the way, there's no guarantee this one won't fail too, right? Like I don't think we're going to. We've had great success in the past, and I think we're on a strong trajectory, but that doesn't mean we couldn't fail. But it got me thinking about this, and I realized that it's really necessary that we as a community, as a culture, and as a society, as a species, have entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial activities. That's what drives us forward. It creates new innovation. It starts new businesses. It creates new jobs. Like, those are all the things that move us forward in a community. And wouldn't it be interesting if there was a natural element to the encouragement of people to do so, right? If there was a natural X factor that pushed people in that direction. And obviously, I don't know if there's really any, I don't know if this goes back to kind of nature versus nurture, and are some people just born to be entrepreneurs, and are some people maybe entrepreneurially inclined, and maybe something in their nurture, elevates them to a different place or pushes them out to do that, right? Because at the same time, I'd started listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. He was a big motivator, right? So maybe it was the motivation from an external source like Gary that led me to do this, and it wasn't, the potential, infection of a parasite, right? Maybe it wasn't the fact that I have ADHD, and so that's where it's interesting to see how this plays out. Furthermore, last year I started taking medication for my ADHD, and it's not super intense medication. It's very, very low level medication. But ever since I started taking that, the company has started to succeed in larger and more noticeable ways. So there's something to be said, I think, and it's interesting to see the relationship perhaps between the necessary results of risk-taking and aggressive pursuance of something. Did I just make up that word? That the pursuance of an activity with almost reckless regard for its likeliness of its success or not, right? Just a total disregard for the numbers. But at the same time, that can only take you so far, and perhaps it's having that team and having the medication and the other aspects of that then allow you to succeed in the long term, that then allow you to transition into a more stable environment that, while obviously still needs to take risk, maybe takes risks in a more organized way. But who knows? I think it's so fascinating. I got down this rabbit hole and I'm like, this is an interesting question. And it actually brings me back to one of the things that Gary said that I thought was a really interesting and wise point, which was, if you can do anything but starting a small business, if you can do anything but owning your own business, you should do that. But if you can't do anything but that, then you should start a small business. And I feel very deeply in my own soul that I just have to do this. I can't do anything else. Now, who knows? Maybe someday that won't be the case, right? But where I was in my life when I started this business and where I am now, I can confidently say that this is what I should be doing. This is all I really can do as far as it goes. And I am really in my element in this specific place. So regardless of whether it was a parasite or a disease or just my natural, inclination, I'm really glad I'm where I'm at. And I would suggest anybody who feels like they want to start a business, you should do it, right? If you really want to, if you really feel driven to do so, you feel like you can't do anything but that, and you have a deep and concerted interest in something, take that leap. You never know what'll happen. That risk-taking might be exactly what you and your community and your family and your future employees might need. So try. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check back in on Thursday for our next topic, and don't forget to check that subscribe button below, as well as the notification bell to get notified when we launch new episodes. If you have any questions or concerns about your leather binder, journal, folio, or accessory, please feel free to contact us on the main page of our website at murdycreative.co, or you can contact us via Instagram and Facebook. You can text, email, call, direct message, all the usuals. We'll do our best to get back to as soon as possible, but we do appreciate your patience. If you got a quick question or you want to change something about your engraving or your shipping address, something like that, feel free to give us a phone call, 414-434-9001. You can call us from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. That's 414-434-9001. And you can also text that number. It's a cell phone, so we really appreciate that. If you think we deserve it, a good review can go a long way to help us grow our new community. Both a review on the podcast with whatever app you're listening on, as well as a review of the product, wherever you're able to, whatever one you have. You go to murdycreative.co/reviews to check out all of our amazing reviews. And there's a button there that says leave us a good review. If you click on that, it'll take you to facebook.com/murdycreative.co/reviews. And you click do you recommend, you click yes, and then you can write your wonderful review. We do read them. We love them. We put them on the wall. They're very encouraging, and we really appreciate that. If for whatever reason you would leave a bad review, there's another button on that page that gets you directly in contact with us. Please give us an opportunity to make it right. Whatever it is, we'll do it. I really mean this when I say that it's important for me that every person who ever interacts with a company has a good and pleasant experience. I know that it's not always that way, and that is an unfortunate reality, and I want it always to be a good experience. So before you write us a bad review, please give us an opportunity to make it right. We'll do anything we can, including and up to refunding, returning, taking back products. Like we will take care of you. So please give us that opportunity if that's the case. If you want to help us grow our new community, word of mouth is the best form of advertising. It always has been and always will be. So share the podcast with your friends and family. And if you want to share the company, go to MurdyCreative.co. In the top, there's a login button. Click login. Creates a profile. All we need is an email and a password. Nothing else. That's how you create your user profile. And then you can go down to the bottom left-hand corner. There's a button that says rewards. You click on that. You can see that you get 5% back on any purchase you make in store as in-store credit. But there's also a shareable link there. If you share that with your friends and family, they get $5 off their first purchase, and you get $5 off in-store credit as well. So it's a great way to share the company and get a little something for doing so. If you have any podcast topics you want to hear more about, send them my way. I am always happy to talk about just about anything. And if I can talk about it, I will. Looking for topics is always a trick in this world. So definitely feel free to ask if you've got questions. Leave them in the comments below or send us an email, sales@murdycreative.co, and we'll do our best. If you're looking for multiple binders, journals, folios, anything we sell, for gifts, giveaways, menus, really any reason, ask about our bulk discounts available. The minimum order quantity to get a bulk discount is 5. And that can be 5 of one thing or 1 of 5 things. So you can mix and match to your heart's content. It's always based off of the total cart quantity. And as you order more, the discount goes up. So definitely feel free to check that if you're interested. Send us a message, sales@murdycreative.co if you're interested in that. Also, if you're interested in a custom engraving, we have no minimum order quantities for custom engraving and no setup fees. It's just a flat fee, normally about $15. Sometimes it can be a little bit more expensive if it's really, really large or a really, really complicated design. But for the most part, it's $15 as a flat fee. And so you can order just one of those. No minimum order quantities, no setup fees, flat fee of $15 normally. And that is pre-discount. So if you're going to get a bulk order with your company's logo on them and you're going to get a bunch of them, it's actually going to be a lot less than that $15 when it's all said and done. So definitely reach out to us if you're interested in that. You can also get more details on that by going to the custom/bulk page on our website. And we'll have more details there if you're interested, as well as a form you can fill out that has a couple of extra questions that can kind of short circuit the process, make it a little quicker. So thank you guys so much for reaching out if you're going to do that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day and goodbye.